You don't need any introduction about Pokemon. These little creatures that have captured the hearts of many, even my own cold heart. My first ever game was Fire Red, the remake of the classic Pokemon Red. My mom gave it to me as a gift for a long road trip that we were going to go on. Safe to say she didn't want to talk to me for 4+ hours. I was captivated by the game, and by that I mean it had a cool looking dragon on its sticker. After Professor Oak had explained this mythical world of Pokemon to a kid who didn't understand a single word he was saying, he promptly kicked me into the world with the default name to fend for myself. I didn't know what to do since I wasn't really paying attention, instead just proceeded to walk around wherever I could, entering every stranger's home until I stumbled into where I needed to be. Now in his lab, I got to choose my first ever Pokemon, my first ever partner to venture with me in this world. I chose Charmander. Why? Because he looked like a lizard, and the other two, I just didn't like how they looked. After losing to my rival, I finally walked out of town and proceeded to get lost. I kid you not, all I can remember for that section was walking into every stranger's home, every building, talking to everyone that I see, thinking it would do something, when all I had to do was deliver a stupid package to Oak. Afterwards, I caught some Pokemon, trained them, and tried my best. Still doesn't mean I was good, as I promptly got lost in a dark cave. I eventually found the entrance I came from, and I had to use a guidebook to help me navigate the cave. I counted every step that book showed to reach each ladder. No joke, I calculated my way through the cave with an official Pokemon guidebook, so you can blame kids like me for the reason why Pokemon games are so easy. I don't remember too much in between there other than beating these guys and making my Pokemon stronger. I eventually came to Misty's gym. I remember being so angry at her since I couldn't beat her stupid Starmie. All I had in my party was a Charmeleon, Pidgeotto, and a rat. My party was not ready to fight since Charmeleon was carrying my entire run, and guess how well that went when your strongest member is a fire type and a water type gym. So with such a great party, I lost every time and eventually just stopped playing the game. But my love for Pokemon did not die. I actually had fun, even if it was frustrating. I remember going to some kind of summer camp, and while sitting around in the gym, I heard some other kids playing Pokemon. I heard them laugh as they surrounded a kid with a Game Boy that was playing Pokemon Emerald. I was shocked that there was another Pokemon game since I thought Fire Red was the only one. When they started talking about the Pokemon they had, I couldn't help but listen in. Being the kid I was, I never approached and just watched them. He would give his Game Boy to the other kids next to him so they would play a little. I think he noticed me staring and asked if I wanted to play. I was extremely shy and I didn't know what to say. Eventually he just handed the Game Boy to me to play. Safe to say, I was surprised but sat down and played a little bit. The other boys began surrounding me and watching me play. I was extremely nervous since I wanted to look at his Pokemon, but at the same time I didn't want to ruin his playthrough and waste their time. After I got into one battle, I quickly handed the Game Boy back and thanked him. They even asked if I was sure since it was clear I didn't really do much. I said yes and left. Honestly, I don't know why I acted like that since we were just kids and we were all having fun playing Pokemon. But after that interaction, I really wanted to play Pokemon again, knowing that there were other versions for me to play. My first Pokemon game after that was Pokemon Diamond. I really enjoyed that game and the story it had. Even if I couldn't read most of the words they said, I think I got stuck at some point and just gave up again. I think it was the Psyducks that made me stop. Luckily, Pokemon Platinum was coming out later that year. Now this is my number one Pokemon game. This was the game that I struggled with in the beginning, but I actually used my brain to play this time. I had fun seeing the new Pokemon and listening to its banger music. I finally got to the end, where I battled the hardest champion that Pokemon had ever created. Cynthia. I remember that it took me 3 hours of losing, planning, and getting the right items just to beat her. The joy of finally beating her to her banger of a soundtrack, plus low health sounds, I felt so relieved and happy that I finally finished the game. Pokemon has a special place in my heart, having Pokemon Fire Red laying the foundations and fully topping it off with Pokemon Platinum. I enjoyed all of the other Pokemon games, except Scarlet and Violet, never played those, that came out, but none of them really topped Pokemon Platinum for me. Safe to say that Pokemon will forever have a place in my heart and desk.